Have you ever paused in the middle of a quiet moment and asked yourself, what is the meaning of life? Not as a random thought, but a real question. One that doesn't come from stress, boredom, or trying to sound deep, but a question that rises from a place deep within. What are we doing here? Why do we live, work, love, suffer, grow old, and eventually die? Krishnamurti, one of the most radical thinkers of the 20th century, believed that to ask this question seriously, we have to let go of everything we've been told. He said we can't find the meaning of life through books, beliefs, religions, or traditions. Not even through a teacher or a guru. That's hard to accept, isn't it? We're so used to looking outside ourselves for answers. But Krishnamurti says, truth isn't something handed down to you. It's not in the past, not in a system, and not in a savior. Truth and meaning are discovered only when the mind is completely free, not from the world, but from the conditioning it has carried for years. Think about it. From childhood, we're told what matters. Be successful, get a job, fall in love, start a family, make money, fit in, win. But is that the real meaning of life? Or is it just what society expects of us? He wasn't saying those things are bad. He wasn't anti-family or anti-success. What he challenged was the assumption that these things are the ultimate purpose of living. He asked us to see whether we've ever looked at life without trying to fit it into a box, without labeling, judging, or comparing. Can you look at life just as it is, without trying to fix it, explain it, or control it? That's where meaning begins, he said, in the act of observation. Not with your opinions, not with your past experiences, but with pure attention. Watching a sunset, listening to the sound of the rain, feeling sadness without naming it, watching your thoughts without chasing them. He called this choiceless awareness. In this space, you're not trying to become something, you're just being. And in that being, in that silence, something extraordinary starts to unfold. Not something magical or supernatural, but something deeply human. Clarity. Krishnamurti believed that the meaning of life isn't found in any fixed answer. It's found in living fully in the present, in being fully aware, and in understanding your own mind. Why you think what you think, why you react, why you fear, why you crave approval. To him, the search for meaning begins with self-knowing, not in a selfish way, but in a deeply honest way. He would ask, can you look at yourself as you truly are, without excuses, without judgment, without shame? That kind of seeing is rare, but it's also powerful. Because once you understand yourself, you begin to understand the whole of humanity. Your pain, your desire, your confusion, it's not just yours, it's shared. And in that realization, something softens. You stop trying to conquer life, and instead begin to live it with a sense of connection, of humility. He said the real revolution isn't out there in society, it's within, in how you see, in how you think, in how you relate. And from that, your actions change. Not because a rulebook told you how to behave, but because you see clearly, and clarity brings compassion. So, what is the meaning of life? According to Krishnamurti, it may not be a thing to find, but a way to live. A way of being that is free from fear, free from dogma, and deeply attentive to the beauty and sorrow of life as it is. And maybe that's the answer, or at least the beginning of it. But let's be honest, that kind of living isn't easy. Not in a world that constantly pulls us away from silence, from stillness, from real attention. We wake up to noise, we scroll, we rush, we compare. We try to keep up with expectations that we didn't even choose. Krishnamurti wasn't blind to that. He knew how loud the world can be, how easily we get caught in it. But he always brought it back to this one point. Freedom starts in the mind. And if we want to discover meaning, we have to first understand how our minds are trapped. Trapped by fear, by the desire to be someone, to succeed, to be accepted, to avoid loneliness. We chase pleasure and run from pain, over and over. We think we're choosing freely, but often we're just repeating patterns, inherited from parents, teachers, culture, even trauma. So he would ask, can you become aware of that? Not fix it, not judge it. Just become aware. See it clearly, as if you're watching a movie of your own thoughts and reactions. That awareness, not thought, not belief, is where transformation begins. It's a radical idea, because it means we don't need a system or a method to become free. We just need to observe, and keep observing, with honesty, with patience, and without escaping into explanations. He said something powerful once. The ability to observe without evaluating is the highest form of intelligence. Think about that. No labeling, no conclusions, just seeing. When you look at a tree, do you just say oak and move on? Or do you really look? The texture of the bark, the way the leaves move in the wind, the sound it makes, the life in it. And what if we could look at people that way, without the filters of memory, judgment, or expectation? Just see them, feel them, understand their fear, their confusion, their beauty. Not as an idea, but as reality. This isn't some spiritual performance. It's not about pretending to be peaceful. It's about being awake, in the deepest sense of the word. Because when we're awake, life is no longer something to escape from or chase after. It becomes something to explore, to feel fully. Whether it's joy or sorrow, success or failure, everything becomes part of this deep, living inquiry. And maybe that's what Krishnamurti meant when he spoke about the meaning of life. It's not a goal. It's not a destination. It's a movement, a constant unfolding of awareness, presence, and understanding. When you live that way, you don't need someone to tell you what your purpose is. You discover it, moment by moment, in the way you listen, in the way you speak, in the way you look at a stranger or sit quietly with your own heart. You begin to realize that meaning isn't found in becoming something. It's found in being fully present, fully alive, not as an idea, but as an actual experience. Of course, there will still be pain. There will still be uncertainty. But even those things can become part of the mystery, not problems to solve, but parts of a life that's deeply real. So if you're still wondering what the meaning of life is, maybe start there. Not with a belief, not with a theory, but with attention. Right now, to your breath, to the sounds around you, to the thoughts moving in your mind, to the way your heart feels. That's where it begins. That's where it always begins. And the more you watch, the more you listen, the more life starts to speak for itself, not in words, but in silence. Most people, when they ask about the meaning of life, expect a clear answer, a definition, a path to follow, something final, something to hold on to. But maybe that's the problem. We keep wanting life to fit into something small enough for us to control. Krishnamurti challenged that need for certainty. He said the moment we define the meaning of life, we limit it. We turn something alive into an idea, something fixed, rigid, lifeless. But life isn't like that. It's not static. It's not a formula. It's a constant movement, always shifting, always changing, always now. And maybe that's why real meaning can only be found in the unknown. Not the kind of unknown that causes fear, but the kind that invites wonder, curiosity, presence, a fresh mind. Krishnamurti often asked, can you look at life as if you're seeing it for the very first time? Not through the lens of what you know or what you've been told, but with eyes that are open, alert, empty of judgment. Because the moment you do that, the moment you stop chasing meaning and start truly seeing, something shifts. You begin to notice the little things, the way the sun hits the wall, the sound of your footsteps, the stillness in the air, the way someone looks at you without saying a word. And in those moments, meaning isn't a question anymore. It's not even a thought. It's a feeling. Quiet, deep, and strangely complete. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to name it. You just live it. This kind of living doesn't mean withdrawing from the world. It doesn't mean you stop working, or stop loving, or stop engaging with others. On the contrary, it means you show up more fully. You listen more deeply. You care more honestly. You become more aware of your impact, your choices, your energy. Because when you're no longer obsessed with chasing meaning, you become open to what is. And from that openness, clarity grows, compassion grows, and real action begins. That's what Krishnamurti called intelligence. Not cleverness, not information, but the intelligence that comes from deep awareness, from being fully alive to the moment, without resistance. And in that intelligence, meaning isn't something you search for anymore. It becomes a natural part of how you live, how you see, how you feel. So maybe the real question isn't, what is the meaning of life? Maybe the real question is, are you fully awake to life as it is right now? Can you live without clinging to answers? Can you love without holding back? Can you see yourself and others with honesty, with kindness, with no masks? That's where meaning begins and continues, not in arriving somewhere, but in being totally here. So if you're watching this and you're still searching, don't rush to find the right answer. Instead, start observing. Not just the world around you, but the world within you. Watch your thoughts, watch your reactions, watch your fears, watch how you move through the day. And little by little, you'll start to feel something shift. A quiet confidence, a natural stillness, a deepening of presence. That's not a product of belief or discipline. It's the result of seeing clearly. Krishnamurti once said, "To understand the immeasurable, the mind must be extraordinarily quiet, still." So, as this video comes to an end, maybe take a moment of stillness. No answers, no conclusions, just breath, just being. Maybe that's all we ever needed. And maybe that's enough.